Hello, welcome to the Inappropriate Quilter. It's me, Zaza. If you can let me know if you can hear me, okay, that would be great. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Mona. Start at the beginning. Hi, Joyce. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Laurie. Hi, Dawn. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Jim. Hi, Linda. Hi, Nikki. I'm not sure if Nikki's still there. She was here earlier. She was here really early. I'm hoping you can all see. Hi, Amber. I'm just waiting on you to let me know if you can actually hear me tonight. That's great, Dawn. Thank you. Right, tonight I was going to continue with my, I've forgotten what it's called. Spectacle of Scraps. There you go. I've got brain fade already. I'm on month 2. I've got these 16 patch blocks to do. I've got 3 still to make for month 2. I've got some of these blocks to go in month 2. Some of these blocks. Got 4 patches. And these are going to be the corner blocks which match the centre one. And earlier on I was putting the borders on, and I was, you know, when you cut fabric and you trim the first piece of fabric off the end of the bolt just to make sure you've got a straight edge. And I trimmed about 1 inch, and the pieces strips I was cutting were 1 inch. And my strip fell off the sewing machine and landed in the paper bin. And I thought, I'm sure I had an extra piece. And I turned round, and there at the cutting board I saw a strip. So I sewed the strip on, and I thought, that's not right, that's squint. And it's not my sewing that was squint for once. I'd have not stitched on the bit that was supposed to trim off, and it wasn't until I turned back round that I saw the strip I should have sewn on was in the paper bin. So I had to strip that off and re-sew it. So that was fun. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Debbie. I don't think I've missed it. Hi, Gladys. I hope I haven't missed anybody. So I hope you can see this okay at the sewing machine. And it's not sideways tonight. So every week I'm sort of learning something new. Managed to not have the banner. I discovered that if you start with the banner on, if you don't remove it, once you've gone live, you can't take it off. So if I'd known that, I could have just stopped the live stream, taken it off, and come back on again. But of course, my brain didn't think of that, and that would have been much easier because everybody was getting fed up with that stupid thing right across the screen last week. So yeah, so I've got these pieces to sew, and I was just going to start if everybody's here. Hi, Debbie. Mona's going to lurk. It probably means she'll have a snooze. That's usually what I end up doing when I'm lurking. Oh, slow down, because that bit's not going to be right. Maybe I can stretch out the bottom one. That really should be on the bottom. think I'm going to turn that around and see if I can get that. I'm going to make that seam. That seam's a little bit short because the other ones are matching up. Actually, it's the block below that's a little big. See, I hate that when I'm doing things. My seam's been a bit off. It's the one below that's a little bit, that block that's a little bit bigger than it should be. So I've probably gone, yeah, that's a bit of a narrow seam. I'm just going to rip that back a little bit. See if I can get that to match up a bit better. Might just make this a slightly bigger seam because it's the bottom block anyway. Yep, that's going to match up now. I hate sewing 16 patch blocks. Sorry, you're absolute dead air there. I can't speak. And sew. And that block being off completely threw me. Because it wasn't just a little bit off. It was quite a big bit off. Yeah, that's better. I don't mind if it's not perfect, as long as it's not miles off. And because it was a bright red block, it was really obvious. Anybody? Hi, Mary. Hi, Sandy. Well, those little shelves that they're on, Norman brings me all this stuff home from work. And he came home and he fits bathrooms. Well, does plumbing and gas business. And they get sent samples. And it's actually a drawer front, but they come as a blank, as a sample. So if somebody orders a sample to see what their furniture is going to look like, that's how they come. So we ordered a few in white. So I've got these nice little white shelves that are all finished. But that's technically what they are, as their little drawers fronts. Hi, Sherry. With the little brackets. So I'm not allowed to get any more mini machines because I've not got any more space to put them unless I do the other side of that big shelving unit, which is the top of a Welsh dresser I got in Facebook Marketplace. So yeah, because I need a shelf to put my featherweight on. I'd quite like that up on a shelf. Hi, Heather. You're trying to finish your month 2 tonight, Heather. See, I'm trying to learn to sew and talk. Normally talking's not a problem for me. And normally, the more nervous I am, just going to straighten that up, the more I talk. Verbal diarrhea. And then my other little disaster was I used what I had of this fabric, this one here, see, I used this blue, and I thought that's great. I'm going to do these 4 corner blocks in the blue. But that was, I didn't realise that was all I had left. I thought I had another chunk of it. So tonight I was looking for this other fabric to make the border of my central month one. I'm thinking, where is it? And then it suddenly dawned on me I used it for the 4 cornerstone blocks. So, hi Joyty. I was just about to ask actually, Jessica, is the machine too loud? Or is it all right? Hi Laurie, hi Nikki. I didn't see that yet, Nikki. I'll need to go and refresh my YouTube. Sometimes it takes ages for them actually to come up. Well, you won't hear the machine. I'm hoping that you can't hear the machine because my microphone is running through this camera here because it's plugged into my phone. But I'm not sure how much the microphone picks it up. But I thought I would like to sort of be up to date for, is it next weekend that the next block drops, Heather? The next round. And I've stitched this one on the wrong way. All the pins are going the wrong way. Because for once, I'm trying to actually keep up to date with the sew along. And I don't normally do mystery ones. I don't like mysteries, but because it's a medallion style, I figure that if I don't like, and I'm picking the fabric as well, that also helps. I figure that I can just stop when I want. So if I don't like a round, I can either change it. I'm not saying I won't like it, but that was my reasoning for, because normally I wouldn't even start a mystery block of the month. Well, those points aren't too bad, look. I wouldn't start a mystery block of the month. It's just not my cup of tea at all. But because it was scrappy and I could pick my own, I thought, I'm going to turn this round. No, I'm not. I'm going to see how I get on. If it's on the bottom, it might be okay. How I get on with it, because I'm picking the fabrics. There's a lot of leeway in this quilt because it's to use up your scraps. So month one, where I did that applique, you just needed something that would finish up at 20.5 inches, whether that was 4 squares put together or a panel or part of a panel. It was up to you to pick. And I didn't have any orphan blocks because I tend to use them up. If I make a quilt and I've got extra blocks, that one's a little bit off. If I make a quilt and I've got extra blocks, what I tend to do is I'll either stick them on the back, but I usually make a little bag to gift the quilt in because it's easy. You can wrap it up, thing it all up and put it in the bag. I just make a simple bag with a drawstring And if I've got extra blocks, I use them there. So I don't tend to have a lot of blocks. And I've just realised it's quite dark in here. I'm going to put the extra light on. Pull extra light out from my sewing machine. This machine's actually got good light. It would be better if I didn't have the light on then. The shadows might be forgiving. I can hide in the shadows. Hi, Rita. I saw your puff quilt. I saw the one that the dog got on straight away. That's what mine two were like. If it's on the floor, it's fair game. Actually, they were like that about any blanket. If it was on the couch, it was fair game too. But I like the way that one of your dogs just claimed that puff quilt. And then I saw the second one that you made. I like that. I like the colours that were in the second one that you did. I found that to get my dog to avoid things, if I put a little bit of eucalyptus oil on it, they didn't like that. This one was, well, that one's right off at the top. Right off, look. You know, they say don't point at your faults. That one's right off. But do you know what? It's staying in. So yeah, a little bit of eucalyptus oil used to keep the dogs off things. The other thing they hated the smell of was nail polish. If I was painting my nails, they would stay well away. It used to make Lily sneeze, the smell of nail polish. Which I always found quite funny. If she came too close, she would just sneeze, the one after the other. She did it once about 6 or 7 times. Didn't bother Hugo so much. There was even a time, that one again, that's that same seam you see that I fixed on the first block has been out for all of them. Because I did a strip set. So my first lot of blocks are quite well mixed up because I cut the blocks in half and did the strip sets in different orders to mix it up a bit. But I didn't do that with the second one. I don't know why I didn't do it with the second one, but I didn't. Yeah, I think this is going to be off a bit. I'll put the bigger one on the bottom and hope that it ties in. To be honest, I'm not normally that fussy about my seams. I go from one extreme to the other. If I'm doing English paper piecing, I like them to be exact. Especially if it's points that meet in the middle. They drive me crazy when they're off. And yet, if it's quilting like this, depending on what mood I'm in, sometimes it bothers me. It bothers me more when I cut the points off a flying goose. You know, when you cut the tips off that. But there's so many of these blocks. Because Heather, I cheated. I wasn't stitching 190, was it 192? Hi, Regina. I was not stitching 192 2.5 inch squares together. That is my idea of hell. Just wasn't happening. Not my cup of tea. That's what I'm saying with things like this. This quilt pattern gives you a lot of freedom within the pattern. After this one, I've got one more seam to go, and then that'll be all the 16 patches done. This is when Joe shouts at Donna, dead air, dead air, dead air. Because again, I forget that there's people watching me. Yeah, see that lined up okay. I do like these fabrics. I just wish I had bought more. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Sheila. Didn't see you come in, sorry. You're in your car waiting on pizza. What kind of pizza are you getting, Sheila? We had pizza for tea tonight too. And one of the pieces I dropped on the floor when I was cutting the pizza. It slid off the plate. When I picked it up, it left the topping on the floor. There was just a bit of pizza base with tomato, and there was a perfect triangle of cheese and topping on the floor. And normally that would have ended up with a dog with a burnt mouth because they'd have been right in there, whether it was straight out the oven or not. Which is always a bit bizarre because I still sort of automatically put my leg out to stop a hungry dog, and of course there are no hungry dogs. It's really bizarre. This is the longest I've ever not had a dog. And I find it, the house feels really weird without a dog in it. So that's one of the other reasons I'm super excited about QuiltCon, is that it'll be after we've been to QuiltCon. We'll see about getting another dog, another Basset. And I was actually going to speak to, yeah, that's come out okay. The people that we got Hugo and Lily from, because it's obviously going to be a Basset, and see if she's still breeding, and if not, if she can point me in the right direction to somebody. Hi, Kathy. Yeah, a house is mute without a dog. It's, yeah, I had a sign that somebody bought me, and it says, a home without a dog is just a house. And I kind of think that. Hi, Terry. So when we come back from America in February, I'm hoping to have one arranged before then so that we can get it when we come back. Maybe not immediately, but fairly soon. But now I don't know. We always had boy dogs. I'd never had a girl dog before until we got Lily. Because we got two, they didn't have all the other. There was Hugo and the other two boy dogs. There was a litter of 12, and there was only 3 boys. And the other 2 boy dogs had been taken. Somebody had been waiting on the previous 2 litters, and there wasn't enough boy puppies. So the first 2 boy dogs were gone, and there was Hugo and a whole pile of girls left. So I didn't want to wait because I thought if I don't get them both now, Norman will change his mind. So, and the first female dog that I'd picked when we got there, she had her inner eyelids weren't quite right. Hi, Joe. And they can get a thing called cherry eye, which can have eye problems. It's usually fixable with surgery, but not always. So I was a bit not sure about that. And when I said to women, she said, that's fine, just pick another one. So when we went in to pick one, I sat on the floor and Lily just bounded up and jumped to my lap. So she picked me. Yes, Amber, I'm coming to America, coming to QuiltCon in February. So nearly your neck of the woods, but not quite. I hope I've not missed anybody. So yeah, so that's puppy talk. So I don't know whether to get a boy or a girl. Because Lily was amazing. She was such a clever dog. And we'd always had boys. So yes, Amber, so close yet so far. Can always have a wee day trip, maybe meet halfway. So that's me, got all my 16 patches done. And I'm going to mix them up. They'll not all be together. I needed 3 more, so now I need to press these. And I need to plug my iron in, and I don't have, and I'm going to just unplug that light. It's not that dark in here. This portable ironing station also doubles up as my iPad stand when I'm on a live. And it holds the extension, the extension cord that I need with all the sockets and plugs and everything, because you need some amount of stuff. Because the battery just goes whoosh on my iPad and my phone when I'm filming. And an iron always seems to take about a week to heat up when you're watching it, doesn't it? So I've got these 3 blocks to iron, and then they will go with these ones. There'll be 2 sides will just have, this is when Heather can tell me if I'm got it right or not. I'll have a 4 patch in the middle and a 16 patch on either side. And then the other 2 sides will have one of these blocks, a 16 patch, a 4 patch, a 16 patch, and another one of these blocks. And they should all match up. That is the theory. And then they will fit around. So it was this blue fabric that I used up by mistake. That was meant to be for the borders. So I'm going to have a thin green bit, and then this. I found this, which is a brighter blue, but it's not too bad actually. Look, colour-wise. So that will go on there, and that should take it to 24.5. And it should just be like maybe what, half an inch of the green, just to give a little pop. Thought would be quite nice. Hi, Katie. Have you finished your live stream, or are you still going? Shouldn't have said that. Everybody will zip out of here. You were on early tonight, Katie. Hi, Jennifer. Nice of you to join me. So, well, the thing is, I bought this fabric, but I'd only bought half a yard. And everything that I saw of the colours, everything that I saw wasn't big enough. And it sat, I really liked it, but it sat in the drawer and sat in the drawer and sat in the drawer. So I thought, I'm going to cut it up and use it for this. Because as I say, I try and use my scraps up when I finish a quilt, I either try and add a pieced border to get rid of them, or I'll do a pieced bit on the back. There we go. And that usually gets them on a flipped a seam. Well, I'm not unpicking it. I could turn this round and you can see what I'm doing. That wasn't a very nice view of my stomach. Yeah, I'll shove this out the way. Ugh. Pull this out, but there you go. There, you can see what I'm doing now. So yeah, flip that seam and it's just going to stay flipped. Should be that way, so I'm going to snip it. So it will lie flat. Where's my snips? I've dropped them. The kids got me these for my birthday. They're Japanese. And they're gorgeous. And they're, you hear that? I'm going to snip. They are super sharp. But they've got lovely thread binding it. Just give that a wee snip. And that's it. I didn't actually look to see which way they want to go the other way. They want to go that way. This is weird. Feels weird because I'm sitting down. Don't normally sit down to iron. The only time I ever sit down to iron is if I'm sewing. But it does feel weird. I'll get them later. Maybe with my big iron I keep for clothes. Because I do iron clothes. I hate... You've had enough of this. What's Mona had enough of? Thanks, Mona. Mona's saying I'm a natural and alive. I think it's just because I talk a lot. Katie, the cheeky quilter is Amber. Hi, Sandra. That's all right. I just thought I would come on. This time actually suits me better on a Saturday. So I don't know if it suits everybody else. It might. There's not normally anything on at this time on a Saturday, is there? I know that normally when I go to watch things, Katie's usually finishing up or just finished, and then there's nobody to watch for a wee while. So I know that William and Jess come on, but they're a bit later. And look at that, I'm ironing it. I'm not pressing it. Tut, tut. So next we have got the side pieces will have a 4-patch and I'm going to take a different 4-patch because the 4 patches are not all the same. And then another 4-patch. I'm going to turn that round. I don't want those two next to each other. Yeah, like that. So that, if you can see, I'll lift this up. That'll be one of the sides. So just got those seams to match. And then the next side will be different, not having them going the same way. We have this up here. And then different blocks again. I'll shove this block, not put that there, not putting that block there. I'll put it here, that way. Yes, I'll put that block like that, and this block like that. So that's the two short sides. And then the two long sides will have the applique blocks in them. I don't normally sew. Hi, Terry. I don't normally sew. You like the time I was on before, Sherry? Yeah, it's just that's right on a Saturday evening. Today I was out, so I thought I'll come on later rather than not be on. But I quite like doing the one midweek. I'd quite like to keep that up, doing a midweek one at lunch. Well, it's morning for you, it's lunchtime for me, the midweek one. I quite like that. After Leanna, God, my brain there. Could you all hear the gears churning there? And complete brain fart. It needs to be quite sharp, you know. And that just now is becoming a distant memory. Rita, it's not funny. It's not funny at all. It's just like my kids take the utter crap out of me at times. Right, I'm going to put you back. So if you get seasick, shut your eyes now. Or travels, motion sick, I should say, not seasick. It's the same thing, really, isn't it? I want you. Oh, that's going. No, that's quite level. That's quite surprising. What's Rita saying? So yeah, we'll see how we get on with this time. See, that one's a wee bit short, but it'll be in the seam allowance. It will be in the seam allowance. It's not getting changed. But if anybody's interested in starting this, because I think this goes right on until March. Heather's still here, she'll be able to say. And it's a free pattern until March. And then I think in April, it's going to be a paid for pattern. But if you actually paid sewed a decent amount, you could catch up in no time on this. Right, that one's not going to go like that because then my seams will be off. I need what do I need? That's an up seam, I need a down seam. So like that would work. Yeah, that'll work. It's just I've been farting about doing other things on and off. And this going live business having to be organised with things to do and talk about to people. Heather is, sorry Jessica, it's because I've done this before on here. Heather is the debt-free quilter and is her channel. And her email is in the description. I actually did that tonight. And if you can join the sew along by sending her an email, and if you put spectacle, because it's the spectacle of scraps, in the 3-bit box for an email. What's it called? You know, when they want to know what you're emailing about. If you put spectacle in there, the wee topic box thingy, my bob, she'll sign you up. And if you want, there's a messenger group, but you don't have to be in the messenger group. But month 1 was just something at 20 inches, 20.5 inches unfinished to go in the middle. It could be 4 blocks, it could be 16 blocks, it could be a panel, it could, like I did the big applique block to go in the middle. There is whatever you like, if you've got orphan blocks and things, and put a border on that. Month 2, Heather did with, now, and I've finished this seam. She cut all her scrap fabric into 2.5-inch squares, and I wasn't doing that. You needed 192 2.5-inch squares, and you just sew them in. Like this would all have been 2.5-inch squares, but I cheated and I did strip sets and then cut up the strip sets, and I did a couple of 4 patches as well to break it up a little bit. And so that's one of the side rows. It's like one of these things. Who's it that does that? Amy Demont. Her son comes on behind her showing off her quilts, and he walks along holding the quilt up, so you don't see him, you just see the magic quilt coming along in the background like this. It's like those things, the banners you see going behind an aeroplane. Hi, Andrea. So yes, so that's the second round, and then next weekend round 3 hits, and nobody knows what that is because it's a surprise. And they're both, that need to turn that one, because they're both going to say, I need it to be a downy one, not an uppy one. Does that look all right? It's touching, so I could put that way with that still. That's going up. I need it to go down. Down, down, down. That's going down. That's the one I think I just had there. Yeah. Do you know what? Do you know what? This. No, they're not the same, because that you can't see what I'm talking about because I've moved the camera. There. I was thinking they were the same, but it's not. That fabric is that one. So I can have that there, and that'll work for my seams nesting up. And I won't have a big chunky bit. I'll shove a pin in it. I do like these pins. These are the Taylor Seville Magic pins, but the flat ones. I prefer them better than the original ones, which are still good, but I prefer flat pins. I keep saying to myself, I'm going to use thread bunnies, and then I start using one, and then I forget. Or leaders and enders. Efficient quilters use leaders and enders for their scraps, don't they? So, or not even necessarily just scraps, they can be making a whole other quilt. I'm going to have to check this back seam because I think it's going off. They can be making a whole other quilt in between their blocks. And I always like the idea of things like that, but I'm not. No, it is okay. I thought I'd gone away off. So that's that. But And then this is the last block for this side. Yeah. Now that is not going there because that block is right off. This middle block must be too big. It is. Or this block's too small. I don't think this block's too small. Oh, this block is small. How's that small? It's not small that way. It's small that way. How bizarre. I'm going to have a look at that block. I'm not going to stick it in just now. Pick a different one. Pick a square, any square. Right, that one's fine. I'm going to have to look at my seams. I must have a seam that's too big in that block because it's short on height. Whatever I've done. Well, we look at this chat. I feel that I'm way behind in the chat. Where's Andrea going that she needs to be safe? Is this the weather? Oh, it's storming. Oh, power and internet has been off and on all day. Well, be careful with your appliances because look what happened with the bear. Was it the bear quilter? And he had, which I've got the surge protectors and everything, but lightning actually hit his house and hit his, I'm sure it hit his electrical box. And it fried the electricity to half his house, but anything that was plugged in, it didn't even matter if it was switched off because it was plugged in and there was a huge surge. It blew up. I think it was his long arm and his sewing machine. But they had, like, half the house, I think, had to be rewired. So, yeah, be careful. Put spectacle in the subject line. Yeah, subject line. That's, see, do you think I could think of that word? They would work for the pins that I did on Wednesday, Rita, but I wouldn't use them. They're too expensive. I'm back because I don't use those. The pins that I did, the decorative pins, I don't actually really use them for sewing. You could, but I just buy the cheaper box of pins on Amazon. I wouldn't, because they're about, what, here, it is about £12 for a box of these. Whereas the ones I got on Amazon that I did, the sort of little round flathead pins, were £2 or £3 I think for a box. And because I don't actually use them to pin my fabric, there's no way that I would be using my expensive pins. Yeah, just give it Rita, you said you found some funny shapes, stiff sequin shapes. Yeah, give them a try for the pins. I just go for it and see. They'll either work or they won't. Night, Mona. Have fun with Haley. I don't know yet, Nancy, what size. I don't know if Heather's going to tell us what size part 3 is going to make it. Well, thread bunnies aren't really leaders and enders. Thread bunnies are just the bits that you just use. You're not sewing anything together. You've just got a piece of thread and you're just putting it through, Heather. So that, you know, sometimes when you get the wee knot on the back, you're like a sort of nest of thread sometimes. And it stops that, especially if your machine doesn't have a thread cutter, a built-in thread cutter, like if you're using a vintage machine. Like, so Becca always uses those scraps of fabric, and I call them thread bunnies. That you sew that first, and you just use the same piece of fabric over and over and over again. Whereas, to me, a leader and end is when you're actually going to get a block out of it, because you're sewing like two and a half inch squares together, something like that. You know, when you're actually coming out with something on a half square triangle, That's what I would call a leader and ender. Yes, Terry, the little kids' machines at the back. I've got another one further along as well. Rita, I hate when I do not pay attention and make rows and sew on the wrong side. And I have to remove 6 rows from the bottom of a puff quilt. Oh, Rita, that's the sort of thing that I do. Andrea got carried away sewing her 2.5-inch squares together. You have a ton of 16-inch patch units. Oh, you're brave. I don't like sewing them individually. So is it all 6 rows, or did you attach, like, did you have the 6 rows together, Rita, and you stitched that on the wrong way, or have you done all 6 rows wrong that they're all going to have to get ripped out? Yeah, only one seam, so yeah, that's not so bad. The Bear Quilter got a purple sewing machine, Nikki. What brand was that? It was purple. I know that you get, I think Pfaff do a purple machine. This bit up, this bit here along the front, this bit is purple. Some of them on the Pfaffs are coloured. I've never seen a whole purple machine. So yeah, I'm not a fan of purple, really, because it doesn't. I'm not paying attention. It doesn't suit me as a colour. So it's not that I don't like it. I just have learnt to avoid it because purple clothing doesn't suit me. So when I'm buying fabric, I've kind of avoid purple stuff too. And even if the only time I have purple fabric is when I buy like a bundle and it's part of the collection. And as I say, it's not that I don't like it. I've just learnt to avoid it because it doesn't suit me. So that has carried over into my fabric. I like pink and I like blue. I'm not a fan of the Civil War browns and things. A lot of them, the sort of darker colours. Yeah, that's okay. That's matched up all right. See, got that seam to match up. Both my seams matched up. Not like me. Nikki, you're that way about green. Yeah, you see, I've just learnt to avoid it. Hi, Brian, nice of you to join us. But yeah, so I've learnt to avoid the stuff that doesn't suit me. I quite like green now, I'm wearing it. Apparently when I was a kid, I hated green. Hated it with a vengeance. Got my backside leathered because my mum bought me a green winter coat and I didn't like it and I left it somewhere. And that was in the days where you definitely only had one coat. She said I did it on purpose, but to be honest, I probably just left it. Not paying attention. But when she figured out where I had left, I think we'd had an appointment somewhere, and when she went back to get it, it was gone. Some bugger had lifted it. Who steals a kid's coat? That's 2 sides done. but I've still got a border to go on. I'm going to iron this, and then I might stitch those next borders on, because there's nothing to match up on that. It's just sewing a line. And then I'll need to look at that block and find out why it's short, because the rest of them all fit. See, these are all the same size, top and bottom. I was quite impressed with that, actually. They all match. So I don't know what I've done with that block that it doesn't match. There's two sides done. I don't want to do the... I need to check the other side, because I can't sew that block in. So then I can't sew the end block. I can't sew, I'm showing the wrong camera. I'm showing my computer and there's camera's not switched on. That's the one that was short. I mean, it's only short one way. It fits one way and not the other. But I can't sew the end block on. It's quite a bit short, actually. So I need to have a look at that. And that seam's got twisted. I need to check all the blocks now. I thought I had checked them and I thought that's probably one of the ones I've sewn tonight. Yeah, this one's short too. Yep. One of my seams must be too big. Which way is it? That one's okay. That's one of the other blocks though. It's okay. And this one's short. So yes, the three that I sewed tonight are all short. Maybe just, yeah. There's obviously, yeah, there's a bigger seam on the back. So I need to redo the seam. I was obviously not paying attention. So 3 blocks are short. Yeah, that one's okay. And that one's okay. That one's short. 4 patches okay. And that one's okay. Short that way. No, that one is okay. That's a good way to measure, isn't it? Just hold it against a block that I know is okay because I squared it up. So it's just the one that's short. So these blocks will have the corner piece on each side, and I'll need to pay attention so they're not upside down. When I do them, and I'll turn you around because you can't see what I'm talking about. There. Hi, Diana. Sorry, I've been ignoring the chat. Sew from a recliner. Yes, Nancy. Sewing from a recliner sounds perfect. You might be that both, Heather. You might need a new battery and a new phone. That's why I had to get... Hi, Diana. I had to get a new phone because my battery wouldn't hold a charge. So, Yes. That one in the middle, and then another one on the other side. So that one first, that one to that one. Tweak it along. And then that one will go on, and then this one, and then one on the other end. So I could do that side. And there's no seams to match up on this one. Yay! So I'm just going to move the camera again, so shut your eyes. If you get motion sick. Should have said that the last time, shouldn't I? I just did it. I didn't say anything. Now I've forgotten which. Yes, that way. This seam I'm sewing. Right. So I'd said last week about doing fabric cards tonight, but then I couldn't find where I'd put the stuff. So I thought, what am I going to do now? And I got these little phrases to go on them that I like. They're called they're Tim Holtz, and it's the snarky ones, which is right up my street. Surprisingly. That's not surprising at all if you know me. So I like the snarky ones, and I can't find them, and I can't find the pack of the cards, the blank cards. So I don't know what, they'll all be together in a safe place. I just don't know where that safe place is. Bye, Nikki. Where's Nikki off to? I just saw somebody saying bye. He had a cream and purple, Nikki had a cream and purple coat in the 80s. I can imagine, Nikki. The best pure for procrastination action. Yeah, but Heather, if I actually took action, I wouldn't be a procrastinator, would I? I'm way, way, way behind in this chat because it doesn't. Linda, no, not out. Well, I would be talking to myself, but in my head, not out loud. I don't talk to myself out loud. You've got that minion goes to bed. Well, Heather, you've got your hands full with all your little minions. I don't know what gauchos are, Nikki. And Nikki's away now. Oh, yes. Amber, we need to see pictures of that costume. Was that last night that your party was? We need to see what did you go as a jewel thief in the end? We need to know if you went with leaving yes, you did go as a jewel thief. Good. I need to see pictures of that. I think it'll have been hilarious. I bet your costume was brilliant. Did you leave a trail of jewels strewn behind you as you went? And what did your husband go as? Did you go as a pair of jewel thieves, or did he go as something completely different? We've got friends, had friends that he was 6'4" and she was 5 foot, and they were going to a fancy dress party together, and they said they fancied going as something from Star Wars, and I said, that's a great idea. And she said, yeah, he could go as like Chewbacca or something, or Darth Vader, because Darth Vader's tall. And I said, yeah, and you could go as Yoda. And I should have seen her face just drop. She said, I was thinking Princess Leia. And here was me thinking it would have been classic because she was wee, she could have been Yoda. She did not see that as funny at all. Whereas I would have gone as Yoda, but no, she had to go. I just thought it was so funny. I was like, okay, open my mouth a bit wider and I'll get my other foot in. I need an uppy one, an uppy. That's like belly buttons. You get an innie and an outie. No, that'll be two the same. I need this side then. Nope, not that one. They're all going to be like that, apart from that middle. That's going to be down. Oh, there's an uppy. That's the one that's got all the ones that match. If I turn that round, no, that's going down. I'm going to have to just snip that seam. Yep, it's just going to get snipped. Snippity snipped. Yeah, belly buttons. Has anybody got an outie? Being really shocked when I was a kid and I saw somebody, it was a boy at the pool, he had trunks on and he had his belly button stuck out. I was quite, apparently I couldn't stop staring. I'd never seen such a thing. I was probably only about 6, but I can still remember that boy and his belly button sticking out. I just thought everybody's belly buttons went in. That was my big fear when I was pregnant. Somebody at work told me that your belly button popped out, and I was like, no, but it didn't. It didn't stay in, but it didn't pop out. And surprisingly, I didn't get stretch marks either. And it did surprise me because when I was a kid and I grew, I got stretch marks when I took a growth spurt. So I fully expected to have a stomach covered in them. What does Sandra love that Sheila's been talking about? You had a pop out one, Sandra. When you were pregnant, did it pop out or was it always out? Were you an outie? Oh, good, Amber. Are they on your pictures? Are they on your... Did you do a YouTube post so that we can see them? Or did you post them in Discord? I will have a look when I get here. Oh God, that's 1. I've been on here for over an hour. Right, last scene. I'm not doing any more. I have tortured you enough tonight. See, I know these blocks should be okay, the applique ones, because I cut 8.5-inch squares. So I've just been checking all my other blocks against these ones, not against a ruler. So if I've cut them squint, then I'm screwed. Yes, on Mona's Discord, good. I will go and have a look. Oh, it's still hot. I tell you, I thought when I got this iron, I thought this light was a gimmick, but it's great. I love it. I didn't think I would get as excited about something as a headlight on your iron. I'm going to have to snip these little jobbies off. Oh, you Americans probably don't know what a jobbie is. It's a poop. Here's another one. That's what we say in Scotland. Sandra, your belly button only came out when you were pregnant. Yeah. Jobby is a word in Scotland. It's not a bad word. It's quite acceptable for kids to say jobby. Although they've become anglified and they now say poo. But when I was a kid, you would hear kids at school saying, "Can I go to the toilet? I need a jobby." And that always amazed me because I was like, how can you go and do that at school? I had to do that at home. I couldn't do that in a different toilet. Not that I have issues or anything, but things like that are meant for your own toilet at home, not for the toilets at school. See these threads of some of these blocks. I hate threads. I hate threads like this. Bug the shit out. Sorry. They beep out of me. Look, there's another one there. And I came up with I'd used yellow chalk to mark the big applique block. And then I saw somebody's post. Was it on, I think it was on Becca's Discord last night. And she was talking about how she'd used yellow chalk on somebody, I'm sure it was Becca, how she'd used yellow chalk on something and it didn't come off. And I was like, oh crap. So today I went to give it a wee, see this is fraying like crazy. Today I gave it a wee rub and it didn't really come off. But for my 3D printer, I've got this, I love it. The little bin from IKEA, little desktop bin, and it comes with a little mini sweeping brush, dustpan and brush, so that you can sweep up. And it's great. I use it, the brush bit's really good, and I'll use it, and it catches, see, it catches all the threads, and I'll use it on, cleans my wool mat and everything. And I thought, I'll use that, and it did. It took all the yellow thread off, but it also made my fabric free at the edges when I brushed them. So yes, that's one. Get ready for the aeroplane banner. Here we go. That's one side. That's the big side. So these will probably be a top and a bottom. You use blue chalk. Well, I bought these. It was a set I got when they came out of the chalk, you know, and it's got the little wheel thing. So you can draw. I've got a scrap bit of fabric. So you just roll it onto here. So that would help so you can actually see it. So you just, one of those pen things. And they're great for marking things, but I didn't realise that some of it doesn't come out. And you've got all the different colours for different things. But apparently, yeah, the white's all right, apparently. But well, you can see I've had them, bought these when they very first came out, and somebody said something about refills. I was like, refills? I've not even hardly used them. I tend to use, and I know they're not meant for fabric, I tend to use the friction pens. But what I will say was, the friction pens, the worst thing is you've got to watch it is on dark fabric. It will bleach the fabric. But if you're only marking within your seam allowance, it doesn't matter if it comes back or not. But I thought it would be a handy thing to have, but I've never really used it. Oh, hi, Katie. I'm sorry. I didn't see you come in. Or have you just come in? What I'd quite like to get is I'd quite like to get one of these little desktop cordless vacuum cleaner things. But as you can see with this room, I don't really need. There's wants and needs. It would be handy for clearing out the 3D printer, and it would be handy for cleaning out a sewing machine, one of those little vacuum cleaners, because they come with all the right thingamybobs, what do you call them? Attachments, the mini ones. So yeah, so the next row will basically be the same. But I need to fix this little jobby here and figure out where I went wrong. I think it's just that my seams got too big. Looking at the back here, that would help if you looked at the back too. My seams are too big compared to the other seams. Because it's only one way that's too small. It's fine the other way, so I think it's just that my seams are too big. So I need to take the rows apart and redo my seams. What I might do is I might redo these two seams, this one, and that might just give me enough to make the block fit. Because it's not hugely short, but it's short enough that I might have a job catching it in the seam allowance. Thank you, Sandra. Yes, Joyty, I've used soap before. You did just join, so I didn't miss you. I don't feel so bad. I'm still, see this, trying to read the chat, Chris, and trying to sew and talk and do. It's a bit of a mind, really. So, yeah, I'm not very good at it. YouTube is a big learning curve. I have major respect for these people that just do it all and make it look easy. Yeah, so my snips come with a nice little sheath to protect the blades. And they just hang on the side of my sewing machine. And I've got a pair of scissors, a 3D printed, a thingy bob. I thought I had one. Oh yeah, I do. A 3D printed one of these. And you stick it on the side of your sewing machine with your scissors. And then your scissors just, it sticks on like that. And then your scissors just, I'm never sure if the bit that sticks out, this bit, is meant to be on the top of the bottom. I put it on the bottom so it doesn't scratch the side of my machine. Like that. Because I'm more careful about the top when I put it in at the top, but it scratches on the bottom bit. But I've seen people put them that way, but I would still scratch my machine. I put mine that way. And then your scissors it just sticks on the side. And on my other, this is where I keep all my stuff that I use a lot. This was the first one Christopher 3D printed for me. All my stuff that I need to hand. But my newer one that I keep for my English paper piecing has a little one of those scissor holders on the side. But your thread, sorry, I should have said, it's meant for thread. And your thread sits in here. And that pin cushion, that's the tall pin cushion with lots of tall pins. It's meant to just have a needle. It's just meant to be a place to store your needles. It's not meant to be full of pins. But yeah, that's the cheap pins that I buy, Rita. Those that I was talking about earlier, those flower head pins or whatever they're called. And they come in all these bright colours. They're yellow, red, orange, green and blue. And I didn't like that. So I spray painted them and I just shoved them in a cardboard box right up to the flower head. And then I spray painted them and that kept, hi Day, that kept the shaft of the pin from getting covered in spray paint. Because when I was telling my son that, he thought it was really funny. He reverted back to 12, because I was talking about shafts and because I said it's really hard to clean the shaft. I said you end up having to pull it to get all the paint off, and he lost it. That was him gone. So yes, I've kept you all long enough, I think, tonight. I hope everybody's had fun. And now I don't know whether to come back at this time next week or not. I should have had a poll. Katie would have done a poll. I don't know how to do a poll or vote. I don't know how to do that. All these things I don't know how to do. So yeah, hi Day, we're just leaving. And our clock's changed tonight. So that's going to be fun. So for a week, all my things that I watch on YouTube are all going to be an hour out. Hi Brenda, sorry I missed you too. See, I'm hopeless trying to keep up with this chat. Somebody comes in and I just happen to... I'm getting better at it, but it's a big learning curve. Yeah. Bye, Jim. That you off, or are you just saying bye because I said I was going? Yes, Rita, Arizona doesn't change. I think the other one that doesn't change is Hawaii. But is it Arizona that somebody was talking about that it does change? There's a Native American reservation and it does change. I need a number 2 to read the comments. I do, like you have. Yeah, but my mum would forget what she said. She's got dementia. So she's on like a bit of sometimes she's on like a 2 or 3 minute loop. So she'd be reading the same comments out over and over and over again. And then she'd have me demented. So yeah, that wouldn't be any good. I couldn't get my mum on. Christopher wouldn't come on. I maybe just need to hijack one of you brave souls and get you to come on with me. Just to read the comments and chat. You'd be like a radio commentator. God, that word. Words are getting harder and harder as the night's going on. I probably should have had some brandy or something in my cup. Then we could have seen just how inappropriate I get. Oh, it's the 11th, Nancy. I thought it was next weekend. No, 2/11, yeah. See, Americans write the date the wrong way round. 11/2 would be the 11th of February. Here. Because we say, like, the 9th. I would say my birthday's the 9th of April, so it'd be 9/4. Whereas you would say 4/9. It's very confusing. Yes, the second person would just read November the 2nd. Yes, I did work that out, Nancy. Slowly, it did take a few minutes to go in there. It's not the brightest at the moment, but yeah. Yeah, you say the month, then the day. We say the date, then the month. Apart from 4th of July, then you say it the proper way. You see? Hi, Joanna. You say it the wrong way round. So tomorrow, my bedroom is next to the sewing room. So tomorrow, my husband will be like, "You're not doing that again," because he's in his bed. So hopefully, I've not woken him up. He's used to hearing me giving it yap, 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 yap. So I think he. So yeah, 4th of July. It's confusing. So I've got a whole week of all my tutorials that I watch being at a different time. And it should be all right if things like Discord and YouTube takes into account the time change, because it tells you in your own time when somebody's going live and things that you watch, but it might not. It didn't do it last year. It kept it, if they posted it before the clocks changed, it kept it at the original time. Really confusing. Anyway, I'm still yapping and it's an hour and a half. I'm going to go and I'm going to have a hot cup of, tell you in the chat what time it currently is on the eastern seaboard. It will be 8:30. It's nearly Katie. I think. Yeah, 8:24. I was right. So, because it's 5 hours. And I think you're, Katie, you 3 hours, 2 hours different from me. And 3 hours from America, even though you're closer to America. Yeah, Amber, you're 7:24 because you're in the middle bit, aren't you? On the Gulf Coast. Hi, Linda. We're just about to go. Well, no, thank you for coming on and keeping me company, Jessica. And I'm so delighted that your boy is loving English paper piecing. But yeah, if you go into paper pieces, there's just about every shape imaginable. And then there's all the infill shapes. Because some things have, you get hexagons and they'll be, instead of the hexagons tessellating so they all fit together like I showed you the other night, they'll have them sitting so there's a gap and they'll put triangles or diamonds in the gaps and things like that. So yes, I've started talking again. So right, I'm going to go. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for joining me. And it'll be a surprise next week. I'll be on Wednesday, I think, or Thursday. In the morning for you guys in the US. Probably about 8:30 in the morning, Eastern time zone. And then I need to decide if I'm going to come on at this time next Saturday or come on earlier. But good night, everybody. Make somebody smile, be appropriately inappropriate, and I'll see you next week. Good night.